title of my sermon this morning is Messiahship, and is drawn from Peter's statement, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." The Messiahship of Christianity has always been a generational experience. In each age, Christians have come to understand Messiahship, cutting a trail that the next group of Christians can follow. Central to the path is Jesus, the Son of the living God. The trail is ever the path defined by who Jesus is and the Christian's response to him. Our reading this morning is an intersection of images that fall by the wayside compared to the Messiah. Jesus and the disciples are 20 miles north of the Sea of Galilee, to the south of Mount Hermon, near the source of the Jordan River. Both hold religious significance to the Israelites. And in sight of the city of Caesarea Philippi, the city had a shrine to the Greek and Roman god Pan, a fertility god. It was also named after Caesar and Philip, one of the descendants of Herod the Great. Within sight of the great mountain, the headwaters of the Jordan River, the important god of Greece and Rome, and the emperor's namesake city, Jesus asked the disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" It was a loaded question. The disciples' response was at first confusing. They listed a series of prophets and heroes of the scriptures. Jesus then narrowed the question, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Peter's answer reflected his understanding of Jesus, but also what had been revealed to him by God. Jesus stated, "For flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven." Peter's understanding of Messiahship represented a critical shift in the gospel. God didn't ask Jesus to dwell on earth to announce his presence. God didn't have to go through that trouble. He could have done that himself. Jesus lived among humans to reveal God and to establish a way for people to learn and follow God. God established Jesus as the Messiah for the disciples, but also for all Christians to come. This is why, in front of all the first century images of power and symbols of religion and authority, Jesus asked the question, and Peter answered, namely, that Jesus was the Messiah, the Son of the living God. No other power could match the Jewish God, who through Peter and Jesus now allowed the Gentiles to follow him. Therefore, Peter's words changed everything. In his answer, Peter showed himself to be more than the best student or a representative of the disciples. He was not, however, the first office holder as vicar of Christ on earth. Christ needs no vicar. That places too much emphasis on Peter the man, but he has a unique role in the church. His answer opened a new era. His response marks a change and elevates him to the status of a new Abraham. His faith was the means by which God brings a new people into being. When Peter revealed who Jesus was, he also changed Jesus. Jesus was not to be a prophet in a long series of prophets. Jesus' authority and power were greater than the gods of Greece and Rome, and were superior to that of Caesar. Jesus was the culmination of salvation history, first established by Abraham's relationship with God and the first covenant. There would be no need for any more saviors. Jesus was it. He also fulfilled the promises God made to David and shifted the focus of religious life from the temple in Jerusalem to the spiritual temple that forms whenever 2 or 3 Christians gather. And he had dominion and power over Hades, death, and evil. Peter also established the future church. Subsequent generations of Christians would become the bearers of Messiahship. They would be responsible for marking the way of Christ for generations to come. Each group of Christians carried the hope and promise of Jesus the Messiah to the next group. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem, A Psalm of Life, illustrates the journey. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken to the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow finds us farther than today. We are to carry the message of the Messiahship of Christ to our children and grandchildren. We can teach and show them how Christ has changed us. We can teach them and show them how this lovely church has stirred our hearts and souls toward God. As Longfellow continues, lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any faith, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. In our day-to-day lives, we can become too focused on and consumed by our immediate needs and desires. Or we may seek after pleasure or passing interest with little thought of anything more significant. If we carry on as such, our souls grow dark and dim. When we lose sight of our higher purpose, life loses its luster, and we wonder why we live. Thus, we cannot forget our role as Christians, marking the way to the Messiah, but leaving our footprints on the sands of time. Our children, our children's children, and their children will benefit from our lives of prayer, study, and worship. Our legacy can be found in the salvation of a forlorn and shipwrecked descendant or perfect stranger who find their way into this peaceful sanctuary. God will welcome them and reveal the Messiah to a new generation.